I see that. I think that more or less all of I is in. Yes. So before we had all this interruption, I was asking Ras Shango Baku or Ras Jabulani to give an insight about how is structured the secretariat and how does it work practically speaking. Is there an executive body or what? Give thanks.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, Ras.
Give thanks for Ras Asher's contribution and his strength in formulating the structures of the Global Secretariat and his suggestion that we are not creating something new, but using the fact that there are organizations worldwide in existence who can promote the idea of the Secretariat by linking, as he has said, the CRO link with the RCC is so important. The Caribbean, where Rastafari came into being, linked with the Rastafari Continental Council. And this gives us a new level of being as a nation, because it is where our origins come from, where we have developed, and where we are now linking with the new communities of Rastafari that exist everywhere on the continent. So this is an important example of how we can come together more easily than having to recreate a new model. You have organizations that are not necessarily mansions of Rastafari, such as the DARC, Diaspora African Rastafari Congress, IDOR in the USA. You have the Ghana Rastafari Council and all the various councils that have come together to form the RCC. So there's a wealth that we can draw on in terms of existing organizations, not leaving out the mansions, but certainly using recognized representatives from the mansions, from the organization, and from also individuals who may be outside of organizations and mansions, but who may be reputable personnel within the movement to form an executive committee. This will also be enjoined with geographical representatives from 5 or 7 major regions of Earth, who will send or elect representatives from Jamaica, from the Caribbean, from the UK and Europe, from North, Central, and South America, from 5 situations in Africa, from Japan and Asia, Australasia, and these two will be part of the executive committee of the Global Rastafari Secretariat. It is not an easy task to convene such a executive committee. It has to be agreed by the various mansions who they will appoint, the various organizations that exist, that have built up a reputation, that are already global Rastafari secretariats in essence, and to pull these resources together so that we have a global Rastafari secretariat. This is why perhaps it has taken such time to make this a reality, because we have to decide whether it should be centralized in Africa at this time, now that we have a Rastafari Continental Council. And we have situations where ones have organizations have accounts, as Ras Asher pointed out. We need to gather funds and apply them to projects which we prioritize as needing our first attention of the Secretariat in terms of the empowerment of Rastafari in different regions of Earth. And this also will be a complex process. We had already identified, I think, 2 projects in Jamaica that were already existing that we could help to support as a secretariat. And because we wanted to get things moving, the stopping point was finding out what would be the best place to have a bank account that was accessible to such an executive so that they could forward funding to these needy communities of Rastafari and develop the works that were already in progress. So it is good that we have a full house or gathering of Rastafari with knowledge of the movement, with track records of involvement in the movement, in the upliftment of the movement, who can take this idea forward. It is not back burner time. It is for us to burn Babylon time by making this a reality. And we can see that the genesis, the beginnings of it have been formed already. This crucial link between America, to Asia, to all the worldly communities of Rastafari that exist, who can have some representation on the executive that is formed. So we have a consensus where all are represented in some form and can help to make decisions regarding the administration of the Rastafari Global Secretariat. I think that what is possible is for us to again circulate the structures that were drafted in 2016 and the PowerPoint presentations that were made in 2017, and even the responses that were taken at certain gatherings to which the interim committee responded. Questions like, where would decentralization be? How would we formulate gatherings of the executive? How often? Would any nationality be prioritized in the formation? I think we answered this question with a no, because it is Rastafari, it is global. We'll take account of those who have come forward and the greater communities of Rastafari would also have greater representation. But as His Majesty says, in terms of race, black and white, that this should be removed from the context of the world. And by following His Imperial Majesty and Empress Menen, we can formulate the direction and the makeup of the organization, because we have His teachings, we have His sayings, and the one we focus on is organized and centralized. And His example in the UN was that nations, groupings, communities should come together to have an equal say in the destiny of this world, should have an equal say. And the sound of equal rights and justice have gone out from the Rastafari singers and players and converted the world to the notion of equality among all people. The movements that we see today, several of them, most of them, can be traced to Rastafari inspiration, even if we ourselves don't see them as such or acknowledge what we have done to change humanity's consciousness towards the well-being of all on earth. We need to record the progress of Rastafari for a new generation and take things into the future as we should. But that is briefly as far as it has been developed by the coordination of brethren and sisters from the south, such as Ras Jabulani, from Barbados, such as Ras Asher, from Brother Chilliam, who is now in America at Johns Hopkins University, from Ras Flacco in Jamaica, from Ras Cos, who is a performer and record producer, from Ras Ray, who is also a producer, and myself. But we need the strength of a world body to lift up the Secretariat to where it should be, practically. Give thanks.
Give thanks, Ras. Give thanks. All these are very important, and so I think that what comes to mind at this point is what ones can do in order to strengthen the process. What can we do? Is there anything that ones can do at this point of the process, or is the case to wait until the process gets um, developed by the IDEM organizers? What is the I thought about it? Thank you.
I say
Rastafari.
Rastafari.
It's, yeah,
Aile. Yes,
yeah.
Ras.
Yes, sir. Well, if we are to look at who is right here amongst us as Ras throughout the globe, in a sense, at least you're looking at half of the globe being represented right now in different ways and form, right? If we are looking at farm, and I don't see no real youths as youths here, right? And this is Rastafari Ancient Conference. Now, when we look at the organogram of how the structure of the secretariat and working with the community of Rastafari on a whole, right? It's starting from the ancients, right? Now it's basically looking within, because each one is representing a community of where they are. Now it is looking within to find those who are capable of taking a position of administration and looking at basically how we can, as a community, support those ones to be able to communicate, market, inform, archive, set up things where the community will be in touch with all other communities within the network on the globe of Rastafari. It starts from us, from now looking within as elders, ancients, looking at the ones who are capable. We are able to use right now the cyber uh, techniques and communicate, set up certain things where we can even teach and workshop, right? So it's about taking action now rather than always just being a talk shop, and get those underground actively working towards building, you know, the secretariat within the communities. And then from there, we can recognize ones who will then sit on the global and have the full, because if we're able to support financially and put ones and ones in a position where that now will create investment that will grow an economy. Because again, this came out of, and where on the continent, it was all Africa Rastafari gathering, which was talking about trading, right? Now we can't be trading our own branded products if we are not producing. And if we are not investing in that trading, then how will our investments grow? It's particularly on this continent, when the greater consumers of everyone else's goods, right, is here dumped on the continent. You even go to shops where they have bales of second-hand clothes coming from Europe, America, and so forth. And because they are brand-made second-hand clothes, right, enough man are run for that. And paying even, some of them paying even top dollar for second-hand clothes. And we could be branding, and we do have brands that we can be pushing right now amongst it. You see, is recognizing what we already have and putting that into action. That's what I have to say. Rastafari.
Give thanks, Elder. Give thanks. So I think it's only a couple of minutes left, so we could come out and come in again, and then we take it from there.